Wah, luar
Messi is the
biasa
greatest.
ini dia.
Ronaldo's there in the conversation. but he's not Messi.
Yeah, I think Mo alluded to it
Copa
earlier.
America
with
Champions.
World Cup for 2 years, dangling that little carrot. Why not? You still have that positive
Sang
influence on the
pahlawan
team.
akan
Just
berakhir.
his presence in and
Dan
around
pahlawan
the
berikutnya akan
team, I'm
hadir,
sure
Alvarez,
inspires them
Lautaro
to
Martinez.
go on and again. Be interested to hear his comments like post game, what his feelings are. But yeah, looking at his trophy haul on the right there is incredible. Number one to the collection. Regardless of what happens, he's ended this tournament on a high. And I bet he can't wait to get his hands on the trophy.
He's won every single trophy that he can, except an MLS Cup. But I have one of those, so me 1, Messi 0. I just want to tell you.
To the point about Messi in 2 years' time, right? He's 37 now, right?
That's right.
So he'll be 39.
Terbaik James.
We see the scenes.
James Rodriguez terbaik
Accepting their
James.
second place.
Anda
I think
terbaik.
it's a fair play trophy.
Oh, is that what it was?
I think
Anda
so.
terbaik.
Fair play to
Based
him.
on what I saw throughout this tournament, I don't think
Udahlah,
anybody should be getting
ikhlaskan karena
I was about
ini
to say, where is this
pertandingan
coming from?
terakhir Angel Di
They're like,
Maria
oh,
dan
we have to give it to
sang
some team.
legenda.
Let's just give it to the second place team.
Lesser of
Dewa
evils.
bahkan
But
dianggap
Messi be
Tuhannya
39.
sepak bola, penguasa
Listen,
sepak
I-
bola
I
sepanjang
would
masa
never
Lionel
question this
Messi,
man
kiper
and
terbaik
what he can bring to a
lagi-lagi.
team. But I'm
Emiliano
curious, right?
Dibu
As we've
Martinez,
seen now
ini
start to
dia
get injuries.
gelandang
I hope he doesn't
tengah
slow down,
terbaik
but
ini
if
di
those
PAL.
injuries do start to limit how many games he can play in a season potentially, or if he can play 90 minutes back to back to back, bear with me now. Would you want to see Messi? I want to see him at the World Cup. Let me just make that clear. But if he starts to slow down a little bit,
Terbaik,
would you
kiper
want to see him at the
terbaik,
World
kiper
Cup
terbaik,
in a different role? Does that even make sense? Like is that even
kiper
possible?
terbaik.
Yeah.
Like, because it's the same question that we asked about Ronaldo, right? Does Ronaldo need to play for Portugal? And I agree with you that Portugal's team,
Looks ready to move on without
they
him.
could have been okay without Ronaldo. Maybe,
Kiper terbaik.
dare I say, better off without him. Who knows? But
Well, with it being 8 games and to get to the final,
Oh,
of the World Cup,
selamat.
wouldn't you think there'd be more roster spots?
Yeah,
I mean,
think
usually
they're
there's
gonna probably-
23. There's maybe 26.
I
or-
assume they're gonna have 26.
no, but my question is just like, would you can you envision Argentina and it not being a team where Messi is the focal point? So if
Wah,
let's say,
pencetak gol
I can't even
terbanyak,
find a way
Lautaro
to say these words, because it just doesn't make sense to
Yeah.
me. Where he's not starting games, or he's not, you know what I'm saying? He's in a
Yeah.
lessened role.
We're taking a look at
Pahlawan
Lautaro,
berikutnya
who
setelah
won the
Messi.
Golden Boot for this competition, 5 goals. It's crazy to me that in the Euros there's only 3 goals that end up winning the Golden Boot. 6 players share
Ini
that.
bersama presiden
But,
FIFA,
he stands alone here in
presiden
Copa
bolanya
America. 3
Copa
of them as a
America.
substitute, 2 as a starter. Congratulations to him, and obviously he scored the winner here in Copa America.
Wow, I think
Final-
we saw one woman there. I just forgot to realize that. I just put that out.
Just one?
Just one. Yeah, I think we need a little bit more
Di
diversity.
Inter Milan
in the,
juga dia jadi pahlawan membawa
Continue, go
juara.
on.
We also saw Javi Martinez win the goalkeeper of the tournament.
Juara
We also did that in
Serie A.
2022 World Cup. He didn't give us a fancy show
Sepatu
with it,
emas.
but Lautaro is wearing it as a hat, which I've got plenty of time
Cetak
for.
gol
That's
terbanyak.
pretty impressive, though. Winning Golden Boot, this man didn't start every game either.
Seriously, yeah.
Wow, they still gave the best player of the tournament. You guys hearing that?
Oh, pemain
Let's go.
terbaik.
James.
Pemain
One
terbaik
goal and 6
James
assists in this
Rodriguez.
tournament. For me, a renaissance. If you want to talk about Hams's performance throughout this, and I know you touched
Yeah.
upon it a little bit earlier, but just to give him his flowers one more time.
I'll give him his flowers. He deserves it. Roses. A lot of roses come from Colombia. That's exactly what he was in this Copa America. He sure bloomed. That's for sure. Like James Rodriguez made history. I mean, the amount of assists in Copa America, 6 assists he made in this tournament. When so many people were doubting him, just based off his recent history, or more than recent history, about a decade of a roller coaster career. He went from a 2014 Golden Boy and goal of the tournament at the FIFA
Oke,
World Cup
ini
in
sang
Brazil,
pengadil yang sudah
to
bagus banget
thinking he
memimpin
had stars
final
ahead
Copa
of him. Then he
America
signed to Real
2024.
Madrid, and then signed to Bayern Munich, then Everton, and he went, I
Bagus
believe, to
sekali.
Turkey, and then Qatar. So it's kind of been like a downhill
Penghargaan.
slope of his club career. On the national team career, Colombia hadn't been doing well. Didn't qualify for a World Cup. In World Cup qualifiers before Nestor Lorenzo went through 2 coaches. And he wasn't being effective. But there was a whole team. Now Nestor Lorenzo tells him, hey, if you leave, you need to leave Qatar. You need to get at a better club in order for you to be on this national team and for me to be allowed to build a national team around you. Because I want you to be a key component of this team and the key component. And so he did. We talked about he took a big pay cut from making around $10 million, or I don't know what the currency was, in Qatar to making $2 million in Brazil at Sao Paulo. But then gets to Sao Paulo thinking he made a step forward in his career to get to the national team, and then all of a sudden is not playing or barely playing 11 minutes in 13 weeks or so. So it's just been a struggle for him. And when Colombia won this last semifinal to get here to this moment, to the final, he cried at the end of the match because you could just see the emotions of how important it was for him to lead this team to the final. Right. And it just showed, he even said, I've been on this national team for 13 years. And this is all I ever wanted. So I give so much, applaud to James Rodriguez for coming back, like you said, a renaissance, a rose that bloomed again here at the Copa America. At 33 years old, he just, it was his birthday, and he made an entire country proud of the team, but also in him and to believe in him again. So right. I hope this will catapult him to his next step forward at the club level and hopefully see him shine continuously on this national team level.
What's interesting is that his coach at Sao Paulo is Dorival, who now coaches Brazil. And they asked him during this tournament, what's up with James? He wasn't doing that for your club in Brazil. And he said, with Colombia, they clearly believe in him and they give him everything that he needs to succeed. Yeah. And we just couldn't provide that same, I'm paraphrasing, but couldn't provide that same atmosphere and environment in the way that we wanted to play. So it was really interesting that he's kind of giving compliments to his coaching style, but also compliments to James. But I thought that was an interesting breakdown from one of the national team coaches in this competition about a fellow player. But very thrilled for James to get this reward. And I want to see where he goes next. Because he's probably got, 3 or 4 more years left in his career. He's got 2026 World Cup. And that's probably it for him. We're taking a look here at Nestor Lorenzo, the Argentine coach of Colombia, who I thought has been fantastic. This is his first loss, actually, as a national team coach of Colombia, which is pretty ridiculous.
Oke, terbaik, coach. Terima kasih.
Yeah, interesting. Where does Colombia go from here?
I
mean, they've got World Cup qualifying, so they got some work to do. They're currently 3rd in the table. They play Argentina in September as well, so they're going to get a rematch here pretty quick. Yeah. But just doesn't slow them down, right? Just keep building.
When you look at it, they've not actually lost the game in 90 minutes. So they'll take that positive. It's always difficult to come and get your second place trophy. When you play in a final, you've got there to win. Second place don't feel as good as obviously getting first. So you can't really enjoy it. 15 pertandingan udah kalah ya. You can't really enjoy the moment. But going from here for Colombia, I think the future is bright. I think they performed excellently for
yang terbaik juga.
This game could have gone either way.
James
I
Rodriguez,
think have to be proud of
Luis Diaz, Liverpool.
And to not kind of concede in the 90 minutes and lose
Colombia
extra time,
national
it was
team.
It's a tough way to lose the final. But of course, it's enough. I think they're still proud of themselves and right.
So Mo, let's talk about Daniel Munoz. He got 2 yellows in the semi-final. He was arguably one of the best right-sided players in this whole tournament. Do you think they missed him tonight?
Yeah, of course. Daniel Munoz.
Luis Diaz tadi.
Provides a lot defensively, but it's even more so in the attacking half of the pitch for them. He gives them a different dimension when they attack as that right fullback, but almost playing as a right winger, arriving late in the box. On the commentary, Stu was talking about in the second half how James was drifting more to the left-hand side and putting service in the box from that side. Normally, that's where Munoz would be arriving on the far post, making late runs. So yeah, they definitely missed his presence. But even without him on the night, to Wes's point, they were in this game. Right? There were still moments, still chances that they had.
Okay.
Weren't sharp in the 18 certain moments, and to take their chances when they came. And that's the difference. This is thin margins. You guys have all played in finals, whether it's cup finals, whether it's different competitions, and so the margins are even slimmer than in a typical game, than in a group stage game or a knockout stage game. And if you don't take those moments, you're not sure if you're going to get another one. But in terms of where does Colombia go from here, this is an incredible team. Yeah, you were beaten by the #1 ranked team, the defending World Cup champions, the defending Copa America champions. So it's not a team that you felt like you. It's not like you lost to a team that you should have beat, right? Like this game was. There wasn't much separating the two teams, so there's a lot to take from it. This moment sucks. This is the worst moment ever. The worst moment. You never want to receive a second place medal. It's not till later on when you can reflect and say, okay, we actually did something. But heads held high. They were valiant in their efforts, and I think there's still a lot to come from that squad.
I think part of the conversation that we have yet to discuss, really dive into, but we can do now because we have a little bit of time, is the fact that in both finals today, the team that had one less day of rest ended up losing. And I wonder if they can look at that moving forward. Now, I understand why they do it, because from a TV perspective, from an audience perspective, you have one semifinal a day. You can really highlight and champion that matchup and really give it its flowers ultimately. But I wonder, from a fairness perspective, if you should have the semifinals at the same time, or maybe they can stagger, but at least it's the same day. Because this is more evidence that it doesn't feel as fair for the team that didn't get that as much rest as the other team.
Yeah, totally. I think that's a big point going forward, especially if it happened twice today. And when we think about Champions League and games either going on at the same time or at the same day or 2 days, but then you get to a final and it's way ahead. You have time to recover. Yes, you're in club season in each his own respective leagues, but they at least have some time after their league ends to get into Champions League. And so I just hope that, World Cup, Copa America, the Euro, all these tournaments, they need to have better, standards to protect their players at the end of the day. What we saw today, Euro, for instance, didn't have the extra time. And I'm not blaming the loss on that. I'm just saying they didn't have extra time, they go straight into PKs. And I actually like that because what we saw in extra time was just complete madness. And not just madness of sloppy, soccer, but risk injury. And when you think about that, going into extra time, A or B, like you say, Jimmy, not having the same adequate amount of rest time, fairness for each team, that plays a massive role into any player's recovery. So I think that's a huge point. I'm not a fan of that.
Especially if now in the World Cup in 26, Wes, we have to win 8 games. Those extra days of rest are going to count. Otherwise, you're going to have finals that look a little leggy, a little cagey, lack a little bit of rhythm. I mean, you want your best players in the biggest games playing at the highest level they possibly can. So I think that rest is important.
Yeah, I think the main point is fairness. Especially when you lead to the final. I'm not saying the games have to be played at the same time on the day. I'll be happy just to have it staggered, one in the afternoon, one later on, whatever it might be. One is a whole 24 hours rest. I think that plays a big advantage to the team.
Alvarez.
Listen, these players are, have the top fitness. But if you go all the way in the competition and get to the final, it starts to take its toll. When you start considering the extra time that gets played in some of these competitions and the amount of minutes that are being played and sometimes the intensity of the game, it really does have an effect. And I think at the end of the day, the fans want to see the best quality football players on the pitch for as long as possible. Because the longer you play, the more risk to injury you have. And Messi is probably an example there. I'm not sure how he got his injury, but you're at risk more if you play more games. So yeah, in terms of fairness, you definitely have to look at that and figure out a way to make sure it's equal and as fair as possible.
No, I love that. Good insight from both of you guys on that. We're going to take a moment to do the trophy lift as Leo Messi, the GOAT, is going to take it from here. We'll be back to join you right after it.
Luar biasa. Sang pahlawan jati Lionel Messi, Argentina Lionel Messi akhirnya di ujung karirnya dia. Ini dia mau mengangkat trofi Copa America ke-15 kali kalau nggak salah Argentina, terbanyak se-Amerika Latin dan kedua kali berturut-turut dan mencetak sejarah sebagai satu-satunya negara yang bisa juara Copa America berturut-turut kalau nggak salah. Wah, bertiga ini dia legenda hidup ini. Angel Di Maria, Messi, dan Ortamendi ini yang bersama sejak Olimpiade Tokyo 2008. Luar biasa, ini dia, bersejarah sekali ini. Ini udah luar biasa. Luar biasa. Perpisahan yang sangat cantik buat Angel Di Maria dan yang nyusul Otamendi dan King Messi. Kuat, the real kuat. Luar biasa.